Good morning, dear students. I am Dr. Savita Tidme, and I'm going to teach the subject animal ecology, under which we have completed 2 chapters. And the chapter number 3, that is population, is we have already started. We've spent around 7 lectures for studying the characteristics of population, as population shows a number of characteristics, and all those characteristics we have already studied in our previous 7 lectures. Now, in today's lecture, what we are going to study? In today's lecture, we are going to study the population regulation. Now, what is a population, and means how and why the population regulation is so important? Because if the population is what? A group of a specific type of individual is said to be the population. Similar kind of individual is said to be the population. Now, if the population is going to change, so the change in population means the number of population if increased, so that increased number will going to exert some kind of a stress on the environment for fulfilling their requirement, for fulfilling their food, for fulfilling their shelter requirement, right? So as the change in the population number going to exert effect on the environment, so this change in population number is need to be monitored, it is need to be observed. And not only the population of a human is need to be checked or monitored, but the population similarly of the plants and animals is also being monitored by the government, and so as to balance the ecosystem, so as to balance the ecology. Okay, now let's see. So this population regulation is of 2 types: density dependent population regulation and density independent population regulation. So some factors are there which means on which the population is dependent, and some factors are there on which, or these factors they cannot regulate the population, means independent factors are there but still they have influence on the population, right? So many factors that are typically physical in nature causes mortality of a population regardless of its density. So certain physical factors are there that causes the mortality, death of the population, okay, regardless of its density. So if the number of individual of a population are dying, so ultimately the density or thickness, or you can say yes, number of individuals of a population going to decrease, obviously, right? Now these factors includes weather, natural disaster, and then pollution. So these factors like nature, weather, natural disaster or pollution, they shows their impact on the population, growing population, right? So these factors going to regulate the population again. And individual deer, this is an example taken, individual deer will be killed in a forest fire regardless of how many deers happen to be in that area. So if a single deer is dying, just forget about how many deers are there, but if a single deer is dying into a forest fire, so that again going to show influence on their population, right? So the number of population, density of the population is going to decrease, and if that single one is remaining, ultimately the species of deer is going to finish, going to exhaust, right? So its changes of survival area are the same whether population density is high or low, and the same holds true for the cold winter weather. If the density of the population is less or high, so chances of survival of the same species, same population will going to depend again. If the density is very low, then if a few members are surviving, then these few members need to be protected, these few members need to be multiplied, right? And if these few members will get killed, the population of that specific species is going to be die off, right? So like that, number of things are there. Then in real life situation, population regulation is very complicated, and density dependent and independent factors can interact in a various ways, right? So density dependent and density independent factors can react with each other in various ways that we are going to study ahead. So a dense population that suffers from mortality, okay, so density dependent cause will be able to recover differently than the thin population. So consider a dense population, means a population where the number of individuals are more, that suffer from mortality. Okay, the dense population suffer from mortality from the density independent causes. Independent causes such as disaster will be there will be pollution, there will be change in the climate. Because of such a things, if the population is going to die, okay, so cause will be able to recover differently than a thin population. So in this case, as the number of individuals are more, though some of them are dying, but the number is more, so the population will recover very soon. But in the case, if a population having only few members, only few individuals, like 5 to 6 or 10 individuals, and consider few of them, thin population we are talking about, if from the 10 number of individual or 10 individual bearing population, if 3-4 members are dying or 3-4 members are dead, what will happen? 5 to 6 members will remain, and the 5 to 6 members have to multiply, have to continue the population, increase the number. This is again very difficult as compared to the large or dense population. Say in the dense population, hundreds of individuals are there, and out of that hundreds of individuals, if 5 to 6 individuals are dying, that doesn't matter, doesn't affect the density as much that can be affected in the thin population, right? Okay, now let's see. So the aspect density dependent limiting factors, and the next will be density independent limiting factors. Okay, so the density dependent factors are the factors which factors we can call them as a density dependent factors. Any guesses? Yes, it is written there, like food, like water, shelter, niches, even mates are also the density dependent factors. Means the amount of availability of a food is important for the growing population. If the population is growing with a rapid rate and food is not available, what will happen? The population will survive? The population will grow further? No, because in absence of a food, the population cannot grow further. It cannot increase in number. So these are the limiting factors. Water, if scarcity of water, no animal can survive without water. So ultimately the population will going to die off. Shelter, niches, mates, if mates are not there, then how the reproduction will take place? And further generation will be, yes, they will be stopped, right? So these are the density dependent factors. Now let's see, density dependent factors are the factors which become more effective when population size is large in compared with the limited resources, right? In compared with the limited resources, if the population size is large, then this become a limiting factor. It is due to the competition, it is due to the parasitism as well as the diseases amongst them. These limiting resources like food, water, shelter, niches, mates, etc. are sets the carrying capacity of the population, that is K. So this carrying capacity of the population is again depend upon the limiting resources. As the resources, they are limited, no? The earth, okay. Say consider an example from the 50 years back. What was the population of the India 50 years back? Oh, it was very less population as compared to today. And the piece of land that is for the shelter was available in ample amount 50 years back, consider. But the land still now remains same. It is not going to increase with the increase in the population size, right? So shelter again water, food, soil, everything is now become a limiting factor for the growing population. It cannot allow the growing population to expand beyond a natural, or you can say a normal level. So ultimately these factors becomes a limiting factors, limitation that means they set some limitations for the growing capacity, growing population. So high population density also increases the mortality rate when overcrowded. Everybody knows that if the overcrowding is there will be the population death, that is mortality rate will be increased in case of a overcrowded population, even dense population, which lead to physiological stress and ultimately minimizes the reproduction. Right. So it is the same like overcrowding of the parasites on or in its host kills it. So similarly, if the population is getting overcrowded, right, and to that overcrowded population, there will be limited resources available like food, water, shelter. These are the limited resources. So ultimately that causes a death of the population, death of the individual of that population. Just like overcrowding of the parasite on or in the body of its host. So ultimately if a parasite, number of parasite increases beyond the normal or beyond the particular line, so that causes death of the host because of over exploitation, because of overuse of the host resources. So similar condition is there for the population density. Intraspecific competition for the food or prey can lead to decrease in natality. Okay, so intraspecific, intra means between the two different species. If there is a competition for the food or a prey, that can lead to the decrease in natality. Birth rate is also going to affect by the competition between the two different species. Even in animal population, territoriality is one of the limiting factor. Territoriality means what? Territory, even a residential area we can say. This is say a particular territory of a particular species, and this is another territory of a particular species. So this species is comfortable in it and another one is comfortable in another habitat. So this is again a limiting factor. Suppose they cannot migrate from their territory, again that is one of the limiting factor, right? Then density dependent factor usually operates in a large population and causes the population either to decrease or decrease depending on how it affects the ecosystem. So density dependent factors are important factors for regulating the population. See, for example, diseases, if disease spread in a particular population, so most means the number of individuals will be dying because of the disease. So this is again one of the important limiting factor. If availability of the water, if means this is not the though this is the sea water, but here what we have to consider, drinking water, soil water, or you can say inland water. Yes, so if the inland water is not available in ample amount for fulfilling the requirement of the agriculture as well as individual, so ultimately what will happen, the population will going to die, or the members of the population will going to minimize in their numbers. Shelter, availability of the space, right, is again important factor. If there is no availability of the space or shelter for the human, for the other wild animals, then what will happen, they will enter in anybody's, or they will enter into the habitat or shelter of another individual. So this is again important limiting factor. And the most important of all is the food, availability of the food. So everybody, every animal, plant, or you can say bacteria, viruses, everybody including human needs to have a proper food or needs to have a food. So if this food is available in ample amount to all the population, then and then only the population can grow with the efficiency. And if such a food is not available, right, then what, the population or the individual of a population will fight for the food. Ultimately they will die for the food. even their daily requirement of a food is not fulfilled, ultimately the population will be declining, right? So these are some of the limiting factors, density dependent limiting factors for regulation of the population, right? Now let's move ahead and see what are the density independent regulating factors for the population growth, or you can say for the population regulation. Yes, density independent limiting factors. Okay, so these density independent limiting factors, on the other hand, are those that regulate the population without considering its capacity, such as natural diseases or natural disasters and the weather. Okay, what I said are those that regulate the population without considering its density, whether the population is more dense or it is less dense, irrespective of the density. These factors, independent factors, they regulate the population. And now what are the factors? The factors such as natural disasters and the weather, right? Natural disasters and the weather are the density independent. It is not like whether in a particular area where there is a more amount, or you can say dense population, so cyclones will found to happen there, or you can say wind current will be very fast, or you can say over sunlight will be there. No, these are these factors are independent of a density or means the population is dense or less dense. That independent of such a factor, the natural disasters and weather going to regulate the population. It operates in both large and small populations and is not based on the population density. These are limiting factors, do not depend upon the size of the population density, so referred as a density independent factors, right? So these factors may become effective due to natural disasters like storm, floods, drought, jungle fires, tsunamis, disturbances, or even the disintegration of a natural habitat and certain human activities such as forest cutting, pollution, dam building, etc. So these can cause a decrease in their population no matter how large or small population is, right? So a worst storm may kill about more than 70% bird species in a area. Just for example, bushfire can cause damage to the habitat of several animal species. Everybody is aware about the bushfire, right? We can take example of the bushfire takes place in the Amazon jungle, where the jungle was burning for several days, and in that bushfire, or you can say in that jungle fire, number of hundreds or thousands of animals, different types of animal were found to be burned out along with the burning jungle. So there is again a loss to the population, or you can say population dynamic was declined into that area. Okay, now certain density independent factors are shown here in the image, which can have their impact on the regulation of the population, right? So if there is an earthquake, so ultimately number of houses, means buildings, they start collapsing, people they dying in the earthquake, or they get buried under the buildings or houses like that. So this is again one of the limiting factor. This is going to decrease the population number density. It is again not depend on the size of the population. It never happens like the area where more population is the dense population, there only the earthquake takes place. No, it is density independent. Another one, tsunami. If tsunami takes place, what will happen in the tsunami? The sea water with the high tide enters into the outside area. That means it enters into the residential area. It is again independent factor. It is not going to decide. This sea water is not going to look where there is a more population, dense population, I should go there. No, it will not going to decide like this. No, Whenever there is a tsunami, it will forcefully enter, the high tide forcefully enter into the local residential area, destroying the population. Even volcanoes, if volcanoes takes place, the lava that comes out and again destroy whatever animal, plant, human, whatever population is there nearby area, it going to destroy all. Right? Lightning is again one of the factors. You might have heard about the lightning. Number of people, they are dying because of the lightning. Right? So these are the density independent. Okay, these are the meteoroids which are falling on the earth. Again, density independent factors. Meteoroids that can fall at any point, right? At any area. It may falls into the ocean, it may falls into the sea, it may falls into the you can say on the land, on the residential area, anywhere, right? So volcanoes are what meteoroids are not going to watch or not going to locate the high population density area and will fall on them. No, they are independent. So these natural disasters like the earthquake, tsunami, volcanoes, meteoroids or lightning, they are density independent factors and still they have impact on regulation of the population. Okay, so the next, let's see. Density independent factors determine population changes and set the stage for the existence of a population. Even these density dependent population or factors are primarily responsible for regulating the population about an average level of abundance. They are responsible to regulate the population at a particular level. If a population is increased because of the natural disaster, storm, or you can say tsunami, or you can say earthquake, or something like that, the population is under control. So these factors are playing important role for regulation of a population. Then abiotic factors includes things such as temperature, humidity, rainfall, soil, pH are also some of the limiting factor for a growing population. So general effects of weather on population. Let's see how the weather is going to regulate the population. Insects blown up to a snow-covered mountain peaks and heavy rain that reduces insect population. Right? So the insects blown up to snow-covered mountain peaks. Insects, they start growing over there. So heavy rains that reduces insect population. If the particular type of insect, say it is found to be growing more into the or on the mountain peak, but because of the heavy rainfall, all this insect population is going to reduce again. And wind that carry migrating insect out to sea and increases in the humidity which produces conditions suitable for the epizootic in population. So the natural phenomena like humidity, like temperature, like wind current, heavy rainfall are again going to check the population at various levels. Not only the population of a human, but population of insect, non-insect animals, even the population of the birds or reptiles, amphibians, everybody, the population is being controlled by the natural phenomenon, right? So let's see what is the effect of population temperature on the development of an organism in just a brief. So developmental time decreases with the increase in the temperature. What it means? Developmental time decreases with increase in temperature. Because at high temperature, the metabolic activity of the cells sometimes or in most of the cases they found to be decreased. So developmental rate at high temperature is again going to be decreased, and the developmental rate increases with increase in temperature. This is again found to be present in some cases, right? In some cases the developmental rate is increased with the increase in the temperature. Okay, so physiological days degrees can be used to estimate the developmental period of an insect in the field given reliable temperature data from the habitat of the insect. The time of year and geographical location can dramatically affect the growth of an insect with the respect to temperature. So the time of the year and geographical location can dramatically affect the growth of an insect with the respect to temperature. Okay. All right. Now you might have seen some insect, or you can say light insects, means insect which get attracted towards the light. So during winter season, if you switch on the light of your home and keep your door and windows open, most of the insects, they get attracted towards the light, right? So this has not happened throughout the year. Is it possible that light insect or the insect will get attracted towards the light throughout the year? Similar type, similar pattern? No, because the population means certain hibernating stages of the insect, they start developing, start growing in a particular season, like in this post monsoon. So the population of insect in the post monsoon is very high as compared to their population in the summer. So in the summer season, because of high temperature, the population of such an insect is not even, you cannot see them with the open eyes, or you can say you cannot see them in the environment, because their certain developmental stages like pupa or eggs, they are in the dormant condition. So effect of the climate on the population, how the climate is going to affect the population growth. The combination of a temperature, air movement, humidity and rainfall can dramatically affect the success of a natural enemy in a given location. What it means? The combination of a temperature, air movement, humidity and rainfall can dramatically affect the success of a natural enemy in a given location. And these variables considered together are equivalent to the term climate. So what this temperature, air movement, humidity and rainfall, when these natural conditions are there, they can dramatically affect the success of the natural enemy. Suppose in a particular area, the natural enemy population of a particular predator is very high. So because of the change in climate, rainfall, excessive rainfall or wind current or high temperature, the population of that natural enemy is going to decrease, right? It is going to checked by the natural climatic conditions, and ultimately a particular population can be saved. So effect of climate on a population again plays positive as well as a negative, means it shows positive as well as a negative impact on the population growth or population regulation. So my dear students, in the next lecture we will be studying the sampling methods. Okay.